Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Ajoe21love back here. What a finish! What a finish it was to week 6 of the NFL season. Tennessee Titans make a statement in a win over the Buffalo Bills on a fourth down stop, 34-31. A game they very much needed, but among the thrilling finishes that happened in week 6, we had 3 overtime games in week 6, which I'll be going over them all, as well as some more news on the channel with my predictions for week 7. But thank you for joining me. If you're new to podcasts, you can click that subscribe if you want to see more of these sports overview topics videos where I cover sports news and coverage, as well as if you like this video, be sure to click that like button as well. But let's get started in good fashion. So, wait one sec. Shoot. There we go. Okay, back here. So, week 6, a stellar week for the NFL season, in which the bye started 10-4. Did okay. Again, some close finishes, but all right. Uh, as far as picking goes, but still a stellar amount of finishes. Not quite great games, not a lot of great games, but a bunch of interesting finishes that went down in week 6. So, week 6 started off with the Buccaneers going to Philly to play the Eagles. Buccaneers were favored. Now, they relatively controlled the ball, but Philly, you know, they have struggled mightily. Of course, they got that gutsy win in against Carolina the week prior, or last week, excuse me. So, short week against the reigning Super Bowl champs be a tough task, but they held their own. They overcame a deficit, just couldn't get that extra boost to, or that final stop to get another score in. You know, Buccaneers, was kind of night, but Tom Brady was still Tom Brady. Leonard Fournette still had a very good night. And they still matched, scored 28 points, 28-22 final score. And then we go to London yesterday morning. So Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, and the Jags, and they're home away from home basically. They play a lot in London. Of course, Shah Khan owns a stadium in London. The Dolphins welcoming back Tua, who had a good performance after weeks being out with a rib injury. But Trevor Lawrence played well as well. And again, the progression, you see it's going. Now, and ultimately, Matthew Wright, unsung kicker, who they signed less than a month ago with all of the mishaps at the kicking position. They signed and he's the hero, and they went on a last-second field goal, 23-20. Now, they go into their bye week with much-needed momentum to build from after their first win. Good for them. As for the Dolphins, Tua came back. He provided a bit of a spark. The Dolphins offense, has been frail, very frail for a number of weeks. Even with Tua in week one, they only managed to score 17 points against the Patriots in the victory. Here they scored 20. Yes, not a flashy point total due to these year's circumstances as far as the rulings go, but still a spark nonetheless, and hopefully they can build from it. And they're just in a hole to the point where they just need momentum. I think that's the main thing. Then go to the spread of the games. We start with the Chiefs going to Washington. Sean Taylor, his number was retired by Washington at halftime, and they relatively stuck in there. Washington. They held down the Chiefs offense as much as they could. 3 turnovers by the Chiefs offense. It was 13-10 Washington, and then Chiefs were just able to pull it together en route to score 21 unanswered points en route to a 31-13 victory. They get it back to 500. I still have questions about, I think we all do, about Washington's defense. And the Chiefs get back to 500. This was a game they had to get right. The only question is where they go from here. But good for the Chiefs to get back on the horse. Then what was a sweet victory for the Rams. They pale the Giants 38-11. Stafford had another throwing day. Cook had another throwing day. Just not much to say. With all the injuries surrounding the Giants, I'm glad to see Daniel Jones back, but with all the injuries, it's just unfortunate, especially against the Rams, but good for Rams. And they go back home to face Stafford's old team, the Lions. And interesting revenge dynamic there. So then what was a throwing dynamic was Carson Wentz. He was just on point for the Colts against the Texans. You can tell he's getting more comfortable in the offense, and he's just rolling. 31-3. Davis Mills. He tried, but it just didn't work out really. And Colts go to San Fran next Sunday night, and they come in with a lot of momentum. So then another lopsided game was the Bengals going to Motown, Detroit, and 34-11. Jamar Chase again making an early category and statement to be Rookie of the Year with another stellar performance. Joe Burrow looking on point again. 4-2 for 5-1. The Ravens next week should be an interesting task for first place in the AFC North. The Lions, I mean, they continue to fight hard as they can. And yeah, Dan Campbell called out Jared Goff after the game. Yeah, pretty much. And then in Chicago, a rivalry renewed. Of course, it's not really a rivalry anymore, considering how lopsided it's been since Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre have arrived in Green Bay, but it's still a rivalry nonetheless, and it's an attraction. But Green Bay won in Chicago 24-14. Um, that aberration versus the Saints week 1 continues to look stranger and stranger. The Bears, they're playing adequate. They made a game of this for most of it, but once Aaron Rodgers got going, Aaron Rodgers got going. And then what was a disaster, I would say, for the Chargers. The Ravens win this 34-6. Brandon Staley, in his first year as a head coach, his method is mostly being aggressive and going for it on fourth down. Now, while most of the time that's worked, in this game, they fell down 17-0, and they just felt more desperate. And I'm not saying they would have won, but it would have made the score look probably closer than it did. And kudos to the Ravens, their offense just keeps going, and their defense has gotten better than what it was to start the season. Of course, you still got that big front headlined by Calais Campbell, Owe, Brandon Williams, just stellar for the Ravens. Again, intriguing matchup next week. They host the Bengals. And then what was the first, of the overtime games yesterday, the Vikings, and another last second, down to the wire finish that they got done. They win in overtime 34-28 over the Panthers. The Vikings were relatively controlling this on offense, but with mistakes by the Vikings, managed the Panthers get back in it. They had the good drive, I would say, at the end that managed to tie up, but other than that, their offense was really in a shell. And then, first drive of overtime, the Vikings let down. Touchdown to KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne, a guy whose role just keeps getting enhanced week by week. It's good to see. I mean, for years, been wondering who would be the third receiver for the Vikings, and KJ Osborne has turned himself into a nice answer for that. And then another lopsided affair, for the most part, which was a shock. Without their Cliff Kingsbury, without their QB coach, Arizona handles Cleveland in Cleveland 37-14. Cleveland has a bunch of injuries in their own right. They're without Jedrick Wills and Jack Conklin, both tackles, and Nick Chubb, among other injuries. Jarvis Landry, they should get him back. But Donovan Peoples-Jones, I will say, is shining bright, and that's good to see. But, you know, the Cardinals just have playmakers across each side of the ball. You know, Kyler Murray, as long as he stays healthy, Chase Edmonds, you know, James Conner, AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, Rondell Moore, Andy Isabella. I mean, crazy. Zach Ertz, they acquired the other day, JJ Watt on defense, Chandler Jones, Buda Baker, Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins, Jordan Hicks, Byron Murphy. I mean, it's just crazy. But they got a lot of playmakers, and 6-0. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're the number one seed at the end of it. Raiders. Well, first, before I get into the Raiders, Browns got a quick turnaround. Luckily, they stay in Cleveland, or they stay home. But they have to welcome in the Broncos on Thursday night. A lot of questions for the Browns. A must win for both. So now the Raiders. Despite all the chaos with the draw and stuff, they did not let that sway them. Facing their division rival, Broncos, in Denver. Coached by interim coach Rich Bisaccia, they take the cake on this 34-24. Derek Carr did not miss a beat. I'm sure he had mixed emotions, as they all did, but they kept it going. The Broncos, you know, they started 3-0. Yes, I know who they beat, but their offense it's just not looking great on either side. It's just not looking great. Now, they did get Jerry G back. I thought they would give him a boost, but relatively, it's just not working. Right? I don't know what to say about the Broncos. Well, I do know what to say about the Cowboys, and their offense just keeps going and still looks good. One of the best in the league and the NFC. They win in the second overtime game of the day in New England against the Patriots. Although Patriots led a good fight for till the end, but the offense of Cowboys wins here 35-29. You know, Dak so looking good. He and Joe Burrow are definitely 1 and 2, I would say, for comeback player of the year. And CeeDee Lamb is a problem. Ezekiel Elliott looks better than ever. Although Mac Jones played a good game in his own right, defense made some turnovers. You know, as a Patriots fan, I must say my expectations for this season have gotten dimmer. You know, with a starting quarterback for a rookie, you know, we did not make the playoffs last year. You know, I get it. Limit my expectations, but I'm just glad to see Mac Jones. He's getting better. And then what ended yesterday in thrilling fashion with TJ Watt and the Steelers, they rain on the Geno Smith parade and get done in the steel curtain in Pittsburgh, and they win in overtime 23-20 over Seahawks. You know, it's funny. I said in order for the Seahawks to win this, they would have to double team JJ or TJ Watt, excuse me, and they triple put nearly all the O line over to TJ Watt's side. It did not matter as he wound up making the fumble that wound up allowing the Steelers to kick the game-winning field goal in overtime. Big Ben, I must say, he's not who he was in his prime, but he can still sling it. He can still lead it. Um, as long as he doesn't make any bad mistakes, he can still lead the charge. And two straight for the Steelers, and they go into their bye week back at 500. Geno Smith and the Seahawks, they played conservative in the first half. Now, once they got towards the run game, Alex Collins made some good runs at the end of it, but in reality, it was TJ Watt that won the game for the Steelers. 2 sacks, 7 tackles, 1 forced fumble, of course. You know, it's still early, but you got to start looking at who's contenders for Defense Player of the Year, and he's definitely one of them. TJ Watt, you know, Myles Garrett, Trevon Diggs, Trey Hendrickson is one as well, and interesting to see. And then what captivated and culminated week 6 just capped off a little bit ago. Titans win in Tennessee against Buffalo for the second year in a row. Last year it was a Tuesday. This year it was a Monday night, and Titans win in the game they certainly need to have. They avoid falling back to 500. they stay above 500, 4-2 in a thrilling victory over the Bills. Now, it was a bit sloppy, I would say, for the Titans to start. They had that big run by Derrick Henry, and the Bills, first of all, credit to the Titans defense early on. They bend, but they didn't break, forcing 2 field goals, then that big run, and then the offense from both sides really started to pick it up. Of course, Josh Allen had that bad pick that was kind of bad out of his hand, but ultimately it came down to the Titans stopping the Bills on 4th down. They bypassed overtime and went for the win, and they came up short. It backfired, and you know I listen because I listen before I around different podcasts to get the real vibe of the media, etc. on teams. And I could tell that with the losses of Tennessee, first of all, glad to hear that Tailwan is okay, and good also hear that Daryl Taylor, linebacker that got injured as well in the Sunday night game, he's okay as well. So good for both of them. But hearing around, Titans lost respect, I would say, from around the league, from many. You know, with the Colts being hot, people gave it realistic that said that, oh, they could surmount the Titans. And with this big win by the Titans, people have to give them due respect back. Now, I get they lost to the Jets, but still, respect is where respect is due. And the Titans got this big win. The Bills, you know, their offense still plays stellar. 31. It's just their defense, you know, it got worn down over time, I would say. Now, it's still the stellar defense. Of course, people will be talking about, oh, who's the new number one, and say the Bills shot themselves in the foot. Well, at the same time, the Titans earned this victory, really. But I don't think the Bills lose much from this loss. But and they only dropped to 4-2, so I mean, so and so, but stellar week 6, capped off by that stellar game. Now, also, before I get to my predictions for week 7, a little bit of news. So, Corey Anderson, Ryan Bader, and what was the semifinals of the Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix, which has been kind of a disappointment with the injuries to Yoel Romero and Anthony Rumble Johnson. It's been a disappointment, but so it's been fun to watch. This case, Corey Jensen, this was primarily to fight the winner of the Vadim Nemkov and Jose Angelica's uh, fight in the finals of the Grand Prix. And Corey Anderson knocked out Ryan Bader in the first round, in the first minute of the first round. Clean shot, overhand, and finished Ryan Bader. And Corey Anderson, you know, he's been good. I mean, going back to UFC, he was good, but he never really got that big signature win and justified himself a title shot. Now, he gets this big win over Ryan Bader and will face Vadim Nemkov for the light heavyweight title in the finals of the Grand Prix. So good for him. Should be an interesting fight between him and Nemkov, but we'll see. And then the semifinals for the World Series, our playoffs are set and they've been underway. Dodgers facing the Braves will face the winner of the Red Sox and the Astros. You know, Dodgers beat the Giants in an interesting series. I thought, well, I said the winner of that series would be my prediction to win it all. So now the Dodgers are in a deficit. They're in a 2-0 deficit against the Braves. So they're going to have to muster up something uh, in order to get the comeback. And then the Red Sox, it's a tight series, 1-1. Um, but we'll see where it goes. Pulling for the Red Sox. We'll see how it goes. And tomorrow, the season for the NBA starts. So that's our news with two interesting games tomorrow. Bucks and Nets and Lakers and Warriors. Well, with those out of the way, now let's get to week 7. Week 7 predictions. Kind of hard to believe we're now week 6 finish up. Now we're headed for week 7. But now with the extra week of the NFL season, it makes it feel not as bad. I would say that. Start with an interesting game. Thursday, Broncos go to Cleveland. 3-3 for 3-3. I mean, Broncos, again, they had that 3-0 start and they have just come back to earth. And I mean, it's been okay on offense, but nothing looks great on that team. The Browns, everybody, including me, had them, well, the majority of people and me had them as a Super Bowl contender looking at the roster coming this season. And, you know, Start off hot versus Kansas City. Came back against Houston. Baker suffers that injury. Has trailed off, but still keep winning, but show poor performance against Cardinals and injuries on side. I'm still going to go with the Browns. I'm not confident about it, overly confident about it, but I'm still going to go with the Browns to win a tight one. Browns are favored by 5, but I have the Broncos covering 23-20. Browns get the victory, I hope it's Case Keenum with the news of how injured Baker is, because I just want him to get healthy, and maybe they'll get Nick Chubb back. We'll see. Kareem Hunt has been ruled out for a couple weeks. We'll see. And then a coin flip game really get to Sunday. Panthers go to East Weatherford to play the Giants. Panthers 2.5-point favorites. Panthers again, like the Broncos, start off hot 3-0 and have fizzled out. And part of that is Christian McCaffrey's injury, but you still have playmakers all over that offense. You still have, Terrence Marshall, Terrence Marshall, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, etc. Chuba Hubbard running the backfield, but they just are not getting things going. The Giants have been ridiculed with injuries the last few weeks. Now, what's the status of Saquon? Daniel Jones back? They got Sterling Shepard back. Have to see about the status of Darius Slay and Kenny Galladay. But again, I'm not confident about this a lot, but I'm going to go with the Giants. The Giants have a very talented front four, and Sam Darnold is having troubles with seeing the field and turnovers. And Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence can very well get to him. And if they just apply some pressure, they can apply some short field. And Giants, I know it's not great, but right now with Daniel Jones, I just feel more confident in them with the playmakers on that team than I do in the Panthers right now. So 27-23, Giants win. And then the Patriots, coming off that bitter defeat in overtime, they host the Jets, coming off a bye. Now, Patriots are 0-4 at home this season, 2-0 on the road. But I believe this is where they get their first win. The Jets, they got their big win against the Titans off bye. I just don't have a lot going for them, really. I like Carter. I like Corey Davis and Elijah Moore, but they don't have a lot on offense. So, and Mac Jones continues to get better. So I'm gonna go with Patriots get their first win at home, 24-16. Or wait, so spread is 6.5. So no way, it's an 8-point margin. So yeah, Patriots cover 24-16, and they cover, get the win. Now, interesting game. Interesting game. So Chiefs going to Tennessee. Chiefs 4-point favorites. Tennessee just got the big win over the Bills. You know, Chiefs, they were supposed to beat Washington, and they did. You know, Tennessee has a bunch of injuries now on defense. So, now Tennessee's offense, I think, is adequate to at least match Mahomes. It's just the defense that is a bit in question with, and I mean, the Chiefs are 4-3 now, Titans 4-2, but I'm not gonna be burned twice. I'll say that. Not gonna be burned twice. I'm gonna go with the Titans to win this 28-24. And a close one. So then Washington goes to Green Bay. Green Bay, 10.5-point favorites. You know, Washington, I like Taylor Heinicke. I like their defense, but it has not. I mean, the expectations for that defense were big coming in this season, and they have just floundered on defense. And the offense, it's going to have to be a shootout. And just, I don't think Taylor Heinicke can match Aaron Rodgers. So, well, at first I had 27-17, but that would mean Washington covers. So, changing it a bit, 28-17, Packers cover. And then enters that Thursday night game versus Arizona. And very interesting. So then we got probably a difficult game to pick. Falcons going to Miami. Tua his second game back from his injury. Again, I mentioned earlier, provided a bit of spark to Dolphins offense. However, they did score only 20. And off of London. So they don't get a bye. They come back from London. Falcons off a bye. Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts, I think. And they get Calvin Ridley back. So I'm just going to go with the Falcons to get this done tightly, but still get the win 23-21 in Miami. So we go to arguably the game of the week. Yeah, arguably the game of the week. Bengals, the 4-2 Bengals, going to Baltimore to play the 5-1 Baltimore Ravens. Now, I picked against Baltimore and went with Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Here they welcome in the Bengals, the hot Bengals, 4-2 for first place. If I'm wrong, I'll be happy to be wrong, but I'm going to be picking the Ravens here to get this, although it's competitive, 28-20. Ravens cover and the Ravens win. So then we get Matthew Stafford's revenge game. Afternoon games. Matthew Stafford's revenge game. As Matthew Stafford faced the Lions in SoFi Stadium, LA. Rams 15.5-point favorites. So, I mean, this could be a trap game, but I doubt it. So I'm going to go with Rams win handedly, and Matthew Stafford does it with intent. 37-20. Rams keep winning. Not this week for the Lions to get their first win. Then we got the Raiders. Now the 4-2 Las Vegas Raiders hosting Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, they get Lane Johnson back after weeks of not being there. You know, he was out due to a mental matter to tend to his mental awareness. Glad to see he's doing better. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone go through that. But nonetheless, I'm not sure if it'll be enough for the Eagles. And the Raiders just seem like they're going their groove. They're going to get it done. So I got the Raiders winning this for the home fans, 26-21. Raiders go at 5-2. So then the easiest pick of the week, Texans going to Arizona to play the 5-0 or the 6-0 Cardinals. Now, 17-point favorites. So, I mean, I like Cooks, I like Mills, I like the running backs they have, but it's just not going to happen. 35-17 Cards. They get to 7-0. Then we got poor Justin Fields. He has to face Aaron Rodgers 1 week. Now he has to face Tom Brady the next week. Chicago goes to Tampa. Bucks 13-point favorites. I mean, Chicago beat them last year in Chicago, but that was in Chicago, and it was primarily a defensive game, and the Bucks are still trying to learn themselves as a team. So, but now they're comfortable. Now they're in a rhythm. Bucks, I got the winning, although the Bears cover 31-21. Then Sunday Night Football. Here we go. So, Colts, the Red Hot Colts and Carson Wentz, they go in San Fran to play the 49ers. Last season, Carson Wentz played the 49ers when he was with the Eagles and got the win on Sunday Night Football. Here he's with the Colts, much better team. Now, 49ers were real killed with injuries last time. I just think that Carson Wentz, we're really seeing his development, and this is really his team now. So I'm going to go with the Colts. Get this win in San Fran. Go 3-4. I mean, they just saw the Titans win, so they'll probably play with more urgency to get a win. And yeah, Colts 27-24. Although 49ers cover. Wait. Oh no, wait, they're favored, my bad. So never. And then we get to the headline. Final game of week 7. Monday Night Football. Saints going to Seattle. James Winston versus Geno Smith. Weird quarterback battle, but oh well. You know, the Saints, well, Seahawks put up a good fight against the Steelers on Sunday night, but this is a different animal. Now it's in Seattle, but that defense is not good. Not very good. And with the explosiveness of Alvin Kamara, James Winston, I think it's just a bad recipe for Seattle. So I'm going to go with the Saints to win this 24-17. Saints get another win. And yeah. Alright, so that covers week 7, my predictions. But that's the episode for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Besides my predictions and week 6 recap, went over Bellator Light Heavyweight Grand Prix as well as the World Series, or semifinals. But hope you guys enjoyed it. I did too. Again, like and subscribe. Be back next week after my reviews later this week. But thank you. Be safe. Peace.